I don't know if you've noticed, but Find It Trading has become a favorite around here. Their sheets of die cuts are just great, and they also have, like this, an 8x8 paper pack. So this is the collection. Timeless Christmas is the title, and I'll show you what's in, and I'll show you all 4 of the die cut sheets in just a moment. But let me show you just exactly some of the things that we can do. And because this is Paulette's Paper Play, I will tell you why I chose to do what I did. And so won't you please come play with us? Well, before we get into the projects, let me just show you what the papers are. So this is the 8x8 paper pack. There are 16 double-sided sheets. And there's an ID on the inside. So you can see they all have a very old world look to it. Isn't that gorgeous? And of course, reds and greens and tan are really the colors that are being used. And it's a nice weight of cardstock. It is not a shiny, it's matte, so you can see. And they will do this. So remember over here, this was on green and now it's in red type, so that happens. And let me just show you a couple more. And then they're going to repeat. Okay, so there we are. Then in the back, so there's 2 of each one. There are some cutouts, as you can see, and there is another one, but they are on the back side of these lovely printed papers. So that is what we're going to work with. We have the Timeless Christmas clocks, as you can see. Now this is called Timeless Christmas Tree, but Santa is there too. We also have the Timeless Christmas candles. And then this is called Devices, and there were some fun things with that. So let's get started. Okay, I showed you the very first card, and actually I have a bonus for you at the end. So let me show you something that's on sale today. So this is the first card, and because I needed a solid, I elected to bring in the Christmas Past cardstock. And the reason that I did that is because obviously all of the reds and greens, but you can see, let's see, I have a little snippet of this. The red cardstock has this, it's kind of this burgundy color on one side, which is what I used, and a very red color on the other. So that worked, I thought, beautifully with the papers. And I wanted to start off with something that was really unique a little bit. So I elected to take our regular 5 by 6.5 inch white cards, and I used our elliptical dies, which just came out this year. And I placed the largest one over the fold. Okay, I'm going to turn this over so that you can see. So there's my fold. And when I positioned this on the front, I wanted to make sure that I was over that fold. So you can see that there's a gap there. That way I wouldn't cut my fold and end up with 2 pieces of elliptical shaped cardstock, but instead I would have my card. So you want to do that. I did glue the red Christmas Past cardstock to the front first, and then I positioned this. I do really recommend the low-tack tape, or you could use washi tape, just to make sure that it's held in place as it goes through your die cutting machine. So that was important. Then I used the smaller piece, the smaller die, to go onto the paper. And the paper, obviously, that I used is the very first one in the book. And you can kind of position that where you wanted it. And I did position it in the middle. And then you can also see on all of the die cuts that they have a white edge. So what I wanted to make sure that would happen is that I didn't want a stark white edge. So I got out an ink pad, and in this case I used the Velvet Fawn. So I popped out my #1 shape. In fact, this is how they look. Let me show you the actual one as opposed to the one that I used. So you've got #1. Sometimes #1 is at the bottom, so just so that they could fit 3 pieces of art on a piece of paper. So number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, they are numbered, so you can see that. In the directions, I indicate those numbers. So in this case, my instructions would say, punch out number 1, place it on your craft mat, and use your blending brush to apply Velvet Fawn to the edges. And that way, I just felt like it really looked like the colors that were in the art, and so that was important to me. So I've got my oval here. I did edge that with the Velvet Fawn also, and actually on this one on the outside, I edged that with Cocoa Bean. And again, let me show you the color that it is in the paper. Okay. So you can see the difference. This is the color it is, but this is when it has the cocoa bean on it. And again, I just wanted a bit darker shade, so that worked effortlessly, and it worked well for me. And you only have to do that with the number 1 piece because everything else does not have the white edge. So that worked out nicely. So now I've got my oval card, and I have my oval shape, and I have my number 1 piece. And then I wanted to add, and in this case, I used I skipped number 2 because I used that on the inside, and I went to number 3 and number 4. And what's kind of fun, and as I hope you can see as we get in closer, the number 2 is there, and then the number 3 is evacuated in here and just has the clock. I think that's a little fuzzy, isn't it? Come on, camera, shape up. Guess it's not going to. Okay, so there we go. So the number 2 is there, and you're going to get a very narrow edge, so just trim your foam tape down. Then I wanted to add a little sparkle, not too much, but a little bit, and that's where I used the dazzles. And I used the 2 different sets of dazzles. The first set is the thin line. Now this has got black, white, gold, and silver. And when you're doing a shape like this, you want to get a piece that's really going to make that curve. And I have found that this little scallop works very nicely. Even with that, there were a couple of places where, let's see if I can find them. Okay, right here. I had to cut it, and that way, and then to continue the curve with a second piece. So you may find that happening. That's perfectly fine. But what you want, or what I wanted, was that shiny edge, because otherwise everything is very plain. And so that worked for me. Now, the good tidings comes from our Christmas greetings, tiny words and phrases, Christmas tiny words and phrases. Again, this has got several sheets in it. Obviously, silver is one of them. You can see the red on the top. There's also red, green, black, silver, and gold in it. So having the good tidings, and then there's some stars on there, there's snowflakes, but there's also several little holly pieces, and so I just put those. So good and tidings offset, and the little pieces of holly worked nicely for me. And so that is what went on the outside. To the inside, I did the same thing where I took one of the oval and did it out of the same red, and then I did do a larger one out of the solid Christmas Past. Ink them as I did before. Now this is the number 2 piece. Again, it doesn't have any white, so I didn't have to do anything. Also notice that it is wider than my oval. Can we get in a little bit closer to show that? So there's my oval that is solid, the Christmas Past, and there it is with the pattern. See how much wider this is? It's almost as wide as my solid cardstock. But I like that. I think it looks good to kind of break out of that shape. Very merry with the snowflakes, same piece. And then this is more of the thin line, but a few more of the shapes. And I just did 3 because 3 is always a good number. An uneven number is what's pleasing to the eye. And you see, I put them right over those paper pieces, and just worked really nice. So it's kind of a nice, this is all very burgundy looking, and then you pop this and it's burgundy but a lot of white. So that was a fun way to do that. So that's what I did with the clock piece. Now let me tuck this all away. Oh, one thing that I do to try to figure out colors, and I have shown this before, but just in case this is new, is that I have these pieces of white cardstock, and I tend to put the colors that go together. Now obviously these two don't, but the colors I'm kind of thinking. And so then I can actually take my paper, put it next to it, and decide, oh, what do I want to use? What's going to be the best look? And you can see why I chose the cocoa bean. So that's just an easy way to do it. Then if you want to double check it, you can use a scrap of the paper, actually do the blending on top of it, and see if that's the look before you commit to your whole card. So just a tip to see, just to make it easy and make it foolproof, which is what we like. Okay, I'm going to go to my card number 2. So my first one was red. Now my second one is going to be green. And this has another cutting die that I've used on the inside. So in this case, it's the full card shape. You can see that this is the green with the pattern on it. And so I covered my card with that piece. Then I took my arch dies, and you can see that I put one to go on the inside, and the measurements are in the instructions. So I attached it with the low-tack tape, and then I folded my card like this, and I put a piece of scrap cardstock on top of the die, ran it through the die cutting machine, and you can see the impression. I think you can see the impression of the arch. That's perfectly fine. It's going to get covered up, and I'm not worried about it, but it lets me go through a machine that has a 6-inch mouth, a 6-inch opening, and that worked nicely. So then I took the same die with a larger one. Okay, I've got 5 here. I have 6 here, and did this onto the green. The green from where, you might ask? Well, it is the green from the Christmas Past cardstock. So that's going to work nicely. And then, so I then have my evacuated opening. I have my green arch that I have glued to the front of my card. And I'm going to stop right there and just finish the front of my card, okay? So I used a couple of things. And one of them is, this is the gold holly. Now we came out with this earlier this year, and you can see that beautiful border that it has, and then it also has holly. So what I did is I placed the border right along there. I wanted to stay in keeping with the tone of everything being timeless, being vintage. So that worked nicely for me. But then I wanted to add more. So I used, this is the gold mirror straight line. You can see that this is bright and shiny. And I used that at the top. I've got 2 layers and 2 at the bottom. They're close together, but they are about 1/4 of an inch from the outside edge of my card. And I also wanted to add something right here, something that would go into my opening, and that is one of the pieces of holly. And I placed it on top of the same green and just trimmed right along the edge. And I used the precision scissors. These are perfect for doing this type of work. And just went along the edge of the dazzle, and it just made it foolproof. And then you want to glue that in place. So I just put green underneath the holly. These little flourishes, when I was cutting, I just lifted them up out of the way and trimmed underneath, and then let them fall back. So that worked nicely for me. My Merry Christmas up there is also in gold. And that is from my Tiny Words and Phrases, I believe, Christmas, because that's what I use all through this. In fact, not sure, I think you can see it. Let's see, Merry Christmas, where are you? It's on here. There it is. Well, you probably can't see it. There's a Merry and a Christmas. Let me pull. Maybe the black one will show a little bit better on camera. Okay, here we go. There we go. So we have our Merry and Christmas. Now, I do want to tell you, and because this is what I use all the time, I use the retractable pen knife, this. And this is what I use. So I'm going to push the button, and it gives me this very sharp, very narrow blade. It just makes it so easy for me. Okay, so there's my Merry. I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to, and I could pull it up with my pen if I wanted to, but it just makes it easy for me to handle this. It's almost like a third appendage. So I can place it, and then if I ever have little areas, in fact, I can see it here, the little E, let's get in closer, Jeanette. In my E, I still have a little piece of dazzle that didn't pull out. Well, I can easily pop that puppy out with my blade. Okay, come on. Sure. Okay, there we go. So it just pulls out, and I can do that because this has a sharp point on it. Now, if I don't want to use that there, I can lift it back up and put it back on my sheet to use another time. Okay, and my blade allows me to do that. So I just want you to have that tip. I do list it on the instructions. So there we go. Okay, so the Merry Christmas is there. So my gold and green cover is all done, and I'm pleased with that. On the inside, okay, on the inside, I went with the sheet that has text on it, and you can kind of see, let me show you, this is with the green printing, and you can see, okay, it's this piece, and you can see the holly, well, you can see it right there too. And because it gave me the tan background that I wanted to go along with the what I used for the Santa. So I used my same cutting die, the same one that I used on the front. I've now used it 1, 2, 3 times and trimmed that out. And then I went to a smaller one and went onto the sheet that has the other text. And that is going to be this one. Yes, so we've got this. Now this is the area I wanted, so I positioned my arch to really get that. Oh, wait a second, I positioned it here. And what I did is I made sure that the Santa that I wanted to use would cover the holly. Holly's beautiful, it's absolutely beautiful. But I didn't need it in this case. What I wanted was the text. So I cut that out, I inked it on the edge. This time I used the holly green. So on the edge of it, glued them together in here. And then I went to my sheet, excuse me, of Santa, and I pulled out my number 1. And I left it white because I knew that I was going to have the white showing on the inside of my card. And then I went to the number 4 shape. You can kind of see that. And that just foam taped right on top. So I still have my 2 and my 3 that I can use on another card. And that's another tip for using these. These are inexpensive, $1.89 a sheet. You get 3 images, but you can get 6 images if you play your cards right, which is what I did on this one. Now, the straight line dazzles, you can see I did 3 going to the score line and 2 at the bottom. And then there's a beautiful flourish in there with the holly, and I let that go down there. So there's plenty of room for you to write Merry Christmas. You can write your greeting down here as long as it's not too long. You could even go to the back of your card if you wanted. So that is my second card. I hope you like that. It was fun to add the holly to it, and it gave me that edge over here that wasn't too much in your face, but it really did, I thought, blend nicely with the look of those vintage papers. Okay, we're going to our next card. Now, I wanted to make use, when we die cut this using the arch dies, I had this shape left. Well, I'm certainly going to use it, don't you think? So in fact, on all of these, I'm using our 5 by 6.5 inch cards. So I'm sorry I didn't get much different than that. But I did take the tan paper, tan and green, and I did ink the edges. You can see that's velvet fawn. And I put a strip, this is obviously 5 inches wide, I think it's 2 inches tall, of the green Christmas Past paper, just right in the middle, just to add a little bit more. I did put the thin line dazzles top and bottom, and you can see they're facing each other. Can we get in and see that just for a second? So the straight edge is along the straight edge of the cardstock, and the decorative edge is pointing in. These are from the holly, so I'm still using that from the last one, the 2 swirls, and the corner pieces are also from the holly. And then I foam tape this in place. Now I have something else going on. Do you see my press here? Let me see what happens. Here we go. Come on. There we go. Just press it, Paulette. There we go. We have the light going on. Now, what you want to do to make that happen, well, number one, you're going to need the all-in-one, the one light, which actually has 2 lights in the package. One light is the name of it. And let me pull this out. This is so slick and so easy to use. When this type of product first came out, you got lots of hardware that you had to manipulate and put together. What I love about this, let's see, let me just take this little guy out. So 2 come in the package, and you get 2 of this piece, and this has the light on it, and then this is the battery. Simple to put together. There is a plus. Can you see the plus right there? See, this is giving Jeanette good exercise with her fingers. So there's a plus, and then on the battery there is a plus, and you simply insert this inside, matching up my pluses. When I push on the button, there's my light. How neat is that? And so what I did is I have my arch, and I put 2 layers of foam tape around the edges, just around there. Then I made sure that I glued my candle in place, and this is the number 1 candle. You can kind of see it right there. Okay, white edge is showing, that's perfectly fine. And I glued that in place. Then I positioned this, and I just played around to make sure that my light would be under the candle. And I did, to hold it in place, I put some extra sticky tape just across it when it was on the back of this, that spanned between my foam tape and this, just to hold it in place, so that then when I set it down, nothing would shift. So then I just computer typed, press here. This is a 9-point font, so it's very tiny, and just glued it in place so that you can have the person make that happen without making this too big. Now, I probably could have inked this green over it, but I didn't want it to disappear because I wanted them to be able to see it and to know what to do. Maybe not why, but to know what to do. And I did place more layers of this. So I've got number 3 on top. You can see number 3 right there, foam taped. And there is, remember the swirl that's on the inside of the last card? Well, I just put it down here. So I've got swirls all over, some bits of gold showing. Now the inside of my card, I have another arch, same size in the green, the Christmas Past, inked with the holly green ink. And this is the number 2 push out. The Happy Holidays, well, that is a bigger one, so I couldn't use my tiny words and phrases. And this comes off the one that's called Christmas Greetings Gold. It looks like this, but here, I've got this with the backing off. So you can really see all of the greetings. And Happy Holidays is what I used. right there, and just placed it. And then, because I do still have the holly, I just put this one and did not bother putting this on the solid and cutting it out like I did on the last card. Just a little piece of the thin line dazzles. And then down here I wrote, we'll get in closer, printed off on my computer, press on the front to light the candle. So it's, again, it's 9-point, it's small, and I just glued it in place so that just in case they didn't see that on the front, they could go back and go, oh, well, where do I press? Oh, I press right there, and it lights my candle. And I thought that was fun. It also does a pretty glow around the outside. I didn't notice that before. It's a nice bonus. Okay, so that is card number 3. And this is the last card. And this is using, this is called Devices. You might remember it's got a television, it's got a typewriter and a radio. Again, all very vintage. And this was fun. This was fun and a little challenging, but very fun. So let me show you. This is my card. It's a horizontal. It's my regular 6.5 by 5 card, but I've made 3 layers. So here's my Dear Santa. Here is my Jingle All the Way, listening to it on the radio. And here is my TV with Santa in there and a ho, ho, ho and a believe underneath. Okay, so I'll tell you where I got the Santa. It's in the book. It's in the paper book. Okay, so to make this, let me show you. So you're going to need 2 cards. And again, 5.5 by 6. And you're going to first cut 3/4 off the front, 3/4 of an inch down, and 3/4 of an inch off the side. And that's going to give you this look. So you're just cutting that off of the card front, 3/4 of an inch down, 3/4 of an inch in. Okay? That's going to become our biggest piece. Then, so you've got this piece and this piece now. Now we're going to take another card. The first thing we're going to do is go over the score line 1/2 inch and cut that. Then we're going to cut it so that it's 3.5 inches long and 5 inches tall. And that's going to give us this piece. Then I'm going to take my extra sticky tape and I'm going to position it and place it right here. And then I'm going to pull the liner off and attach it over the front of the card, just like that. And that gives me 1, 2, 3. How neat is that? Very neat. And yes, I will keep all of these pieces that I just showed you so that I can show it to you again when I decide to do this again. So very, very easy. So then I went into my paper pack, of course, and I chose paper. So you saw I used the green text earlier. You saw that I used the red on that very first card. And this green with is kind of a green version of the red. And I wanted to have this red and green option going. And you will notice in the instructions, I give you measurements for these, but it's basically an inch or 1/2 inch shorter than what the card is. So you've got the measurements. So you want to trim that out and glue it in the center. So you've got the white edges. And I wanted the white edges because I wanted to duplicate the white edges of the push outs. And I put the number 1 of the typewriter, which is this one. Now, then I did go to the number 3 and foam tape that in place. So I still have, you know, number 2 and number 4. So that's okay. But then I wanted to have the Dear Santa. However, the paper in my typewriter wasn't tall enough to have 2 lines. So this is out of the Christmas Tiny Words and Phrases. So I took another piece of paper, and actually what I did is I just used a piece of the paper that's in here, trimmed it, glued it in place. You might even be able to see the line. And then I positioned deer and Santa on top. Sorry, that's my dog Belle. I don't know why she barked, but stop it. And put that. And I thought it was really fun because it's just like this going up the typewriter. So very neat. Then I went to my thin line dazzles. This is the primary set. And the primary set has all colors. So obviously the green is what I used here. And because each of these sheets has, oh gosh, I don't even remember how many it has. I think it's got 60. It's got a huge number of thin lines on it. So I just did one at the top, one at the bottom. I didn't worry about the sides. And so that worked nicely. Then number 2, I went with red. And this is obviously the radio. And I have to tell you, I was quite pleased when I saw Jingle All the Way in my Christmas Tiny Words and Phrases, because I thought that was just perfect. And I used the number 1. You can see with the white, and the number 2. So I still have 3. Number 3 is on top, so it's foam taped. And this time I decided to do 2 lines of the thin line on the sides and the top and bottom. And what I like, please notice how these 2 line up just perfectly. So that was nice piece to remember, okay? Now my last one with my TV set, this was fun. Okay, so in the back of the book, or the last sheet, where there are cutouts, there is a Santa face. So I cut him out, and I cut away the white around him. And then I took my TV set, the number 1, and I used my retractable penknife, and I cut a slit at the top and a slit at the bottom, and I slipped Santa in. That way, you know, his hat would get underneath the TV, and so would his beard. And I wouldn't be trying to cut him to fit. I just slipped him in those 2 slits. Slip him in a slit. Got it? Okay, so then that goes down, and then I used the yes, I used this piece, number 3, and foam taped that on top. And this center part I did trim out so that you could see Santa, and that way he's in the TV set, literally. I added the ho ho ho, the believe from the Christmas greetings, and I did add dazzles on the edges, and again those all line up. Isn't that nice? And so I'm very pleased with that. In fact, this was really fun to do. Okay, now I have a bonus for you, because today, if you're watching this, well, as long as these last, we have 4 more from Find It Trading, and they are these. They are called Christmas Whispers. So we have the Santa and the Snowman, we have the wreath, we have bows, and we have presents. And they're all in gold and black and white, black, white, and gold, which I think is a striking color combination. But I thought, you know, let me just give you a couple of ideas, okay? So what I did is I went into everything that I had that might possibly work with gold and black. So let me show you. In fact, let me pull out one of the push-outs so that you can see, is this going to work? Okay, I should have done this in advance, but let me do this. Okay, so I'll just pop out the snowman I did not use. Okay, and little guy. Okay, so let me just do him. Now, this is what I found, is that, gee, this black embossed black crocodile looks really pretty, be great for a masculine card. My black sequin, wow, isn't that great? Here is the champagne sequin. So it kind of got maybe not as striking with him. So the blacks work nicely. Look at what the suede does. Gorgeous. And here is the gold sequin. Gorgeous. The gold hammered. Look at that. Isn't that fun? really pretty on maybe one of the presents or things. This is the glitter acetate. I did use it, and I'll show you that in a minute. Here is our metallic gold. That worked nicely. Black glitter, oh yes, and white glitter. So they all worked. So I just played around with, okay, now what can I do? All right, so let me show you what I did. This is the first card, and it is also using the snowman. So what I remembered is that when I used, well, what I wanted to do was to create a scene for him. So my snowman, my #1 image is this one. He's got stars around him instead of snowflakes. And I wanted to play off of that. And I felt like I wanted to give him a glittering look. So I used the clear glitter acetate. Now that is, it is adhesive on the back of it, but I left it together in the white because Debbie's done that and it was worked really well. And I used my circle cutting dies. Now I did run it through the die cutting machine twice, and I did, when I pulled it off, I found that some of the acetate kind of pulled away. So that area I put at the bottom when I put my snowman in place, and he's foam taped in place. And I did add all the layers. So he is #1, 2, 3. I didn't do #4, it just has a couple of pieces, but he's all there and all foam taped in place. I did add, so this is a scalloped, and I did add a larger circle in gold to really duplicate the gold that's in my snowman. Now on the edges of my card, I used the clear glitter dazzles, and let me show them to remind you about them. These come in a sheet that has a gold edging and a silver. This is silver. I used the gold because I also paired the thin line dazzles. Remember, this is the scallop that I used on the first card, except this is silver and this is gold. So I've got my glitter sheets at the top, my strips at the all 4 sides, and then I've got my scallop right next to it. I haven't usually mixed my dazzles that way, but I really like the look. Okay, now I elected, since my little snowman is got stars around him, I went into our dazzles stars. This has got gold, a sheet of gold and a sheet of silver, and placed them all over. That's another thing that the pen knife is really helpful to do, is to place those. And you can see on the corners, I did a medium-sized star and 2 tiny ones on each of the corners. I wanted to have a word, but it had to be a short word because I'd taken up so much space. Notice he is not in the center. The center, he would be right there. I offset him because I knew my circle would be larger and I wanted to have some room for a word. And this is our Christmas greetings. And this is what the sheet looks like. And here it is with the backing. So you can see the joy and the exclamation point, and I just placed it over here. Then, because remember I told you that I had an area that I wasn't 100% happy with, that I had pulled up some of the glitter. So I elected to put some snow at the bottom. And this is done with the precision glue press, just to squeeze that glue there. And then I elected to use the soft snowfall. I was thinking about using diamond dust, but the diamond dust is sparkly, which is wonderful, but I didn't want it to compete with my glitter background. So I elected to have a soft snowfall, hence the name. So squeeze on your glue and then just spread this over the top, tap it off, return the extra into your container, and I've demonstrated that multiple times, and just let it dry. So that is my snowman. Now, I give you this because I would suggest that you could put a tree in your snow. You could put You could also put this ornament in it. You could do several of these others with it. So it just becomes another pretty idea, okay? So that is with the snowman. I think this is called Santa, as I said. So that's one. And I have one more to share with you. And it is this one. And what I wanted to do, this is with the wreath one sheet, you can see, and this is obviously the one that I used. And I really wanted to place it in something that looked elegant. So I used the white glitter and I matted it on the black glitter and put it on my 5 by 6.5 inch card. And I really wanted, I just think this is very elegant. So I used the number 1, number 2, and number 4. So it's got the bows on top. I still have lots of other things that I can use. And in attaching the glitters together, I did use the 1/4 inch extra sticky tape just to attach those together. Now, I wanted, as I said, something that was elegant, and I used our new gold pearl fancy border dazzles. Now, I've shared this with you before, but what I do with this is I pull up this wide piece. Well, I don't pull it up first, but just to show it to you, I leave it on the backing sheet, and I put it in my paper trimmer, and I cut it in half lengthwise. That way I've got 2 pieces and I put it, as you can see. Then I needed another strip. So I put it in my trimmer and I trimmed a piece along the edge. That way I've got a straight edge for the top and the bottom. And I put another decorative edge out of that sheet at the top and the bottom. And notice this only goes onto the white. It doesn't go over to the black. Everything else goes the entire edge. My Merry Christmas comes, and I hope I have it here, and it hasn't gotten buried, and it has gotten buried. Okay, it's in the instructions, and it is, you can see that this is also the gold. It has a silver foiling edge, so that is this one. Again, this idea, I think you could use beautifully with this. Let me see. You could do it with any of the presents. You could do it with any of the bows. So I wanted to give you things that would be useful for all the way around. You could also put the tree right there. That would be lovely. So lots of ways that you can use them. So until these are gone, these ideas will work for you. I guess they actually will work for you after that too, won't it? So this is the Golden Whisper set. There are 4 of them, and there they all are. Okay, so you've got Snowman Santa, you've got the presents, you've got the bows, and you have the wreath. So all of those, like I said, we love Find It Trading. Okay, so that's what I have. Let me just bring this back with all 4 of them. Wasn't that clever about putting Santa on TV? I was very pleased with that. And here is the set. So all of this is in a money saver. I did add, I believe, the Christmas Pass 12 by 12 solid cardstock because I used it so much in these projects. There is a money saver, as always, right-hand side of your screen. YouTube folks, come on over, subscribe on YouTube, but please come to paperwishes.com where you can see all of these. I did write up the instructions. They're down below, and you can print them off if you like, especially to get some of those measurements. That's helpful. And I just want to thank you. I love doing this. It's so much fun, and I love sharing with you why I did what I did, and you know, if I've got mistakes, I want to share that with you too. Please let me know if you like that. You can do that in the comments down below. Just scroll, 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 and you'll see the comments. As a matter of fact, you can also, whether you bought the product or not, you can leave a comment, so that's fun. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me. I hope you like this, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.